Welcome along to this week's Big Idea Show. Today, with Chris Doel, we are going to be talking about the fear of failure versus the fear of success. So Chris, why should they tune in?
I'm going to talk about my techniques that I've used to use the failing aspect of this to become successful, and how I have changed failing from a negative emotion to a positive one so that you can drive forward.
Brilliant, sounds good. Big Idea Show coming up next. Stay tuned. Welcome along to another week's edition of the Big Idea Show. And
Yes.
That's what I like to hear. We're starting off with a whoop. And this week I am joined by guest Chris Doel. Chris, how is it going?
Oh, everything's going great. Everything's going great. Really busy, but really great.
Good. Okay. And for listeners out there, Chris is a personal trainer. So it's you run Chris Doel Personal Training.
Yep.
And you're also in the process
buying a
of
gym.
buying a gym.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So big stuff going on for you.
Massive.
And today's discussion is going to be around, we're in the new year, but this discussion does obviously relate to any time of year, as I'm sure will come up in this discussion. We're talking about the fear of failure versus the kind of fear of success.
Yes.
And this double-edged sword.
Yeah.
And kind of going beyond, I guess you deal with a lot of clients and you work with a lot of clients who will be like, I want to set a goal, I want to achieve my goals.
Yeah.
But we're maybe going to look today a little bit more about kind of the hidden stuff, maybe, aren't we?
I think we do put a lot of pressure on ourselves at the beginning of the year, particularly now, and it's very, very brilliant to have this conversation now. The whole bit about people wanting to be successful, it's always there, but they don't have a roadmap to get there. So we're in Folkestone, and if I wanted to get to Aberystwyth, wherever, I want to make sure that I've got a map, because I don't necessarily know which motorways to take to get there, and I'm really bad at directions. So what I do is I help clear the minds of my clients and make sure that they've got an idea of what those steps and those processes are going in. Now, the fear of failure is within all of us. We've got to have fear. It's a part of our human DNA, as it will, our brains. But we also have a fear of success as well. And like, when you get there, what does success look like? Yeah. So why do we do this? Is this a bit self-sabotage? And it does depend on person to person. Yeah. Sometimes they realise the success point is a lot sooner than they think it is, or they get to a point where they're happy, or with particularly in business as well, sometimes you work and you don't know where that success line is. So it's defined. It's the definition. It's always
moving back, isn't it?
It's the definition of failing and the definition of failed as well, and the definition of success, and we're not clear as to how we define it.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to go into this in quite a bit of depth, aren't we? But before, I always like to kind of start the discussion, I guess, by you obviously help other people do this, but to find out and give the listeners maybe a little bit more insight into you and why is this topic of interest to you personally, beyond obviously it's something you do in your work, and I guess what do you see as the opportunity? Like, the Big Idea Show is all about this kind of open thing where we're pushing up against the edges of what we do to try and get very clear on our point of view so that we can then be in action, but also to reveal why we take the sometimes unusual actions that we do, or or why we procrastinate, or whatever it may be. So so what is it about this topic that interests you, and why did you want to come on the show today, essentially?
Well, it's fine, because I think I wanted to come on the show today to talk about the experiences of the last 4 years. And this has been a very big running theme for me personally and for my clients as well. So for me personally, it's something I really hold close to my heart. I started personal training nearly 4 years ago, February in 2014. I didn't know whether I was going to succeed or fail. I'd done thousands of pounds worth of qualifications, and I just thought, let's go for it and see what happened. And then inside of a year, I actually built up quite a reasonable business, but I was making mistakes. Yeah. So I had the real big fear of failure. So I then had to shut down, reset, take a month away from my business, which is scary in itself, and then restructure it all. And then I did that, and I came back, and I was more successful. Yep. and then I had to do it again in August of last year, and then because I had other commitments, and then in January I started it all up again, and I managed to, in 4 months, make a very successful business, the most successful that I've made it in there. And I think when I remember back, I was like, oh my God, I have to do this all over again. And you kind of think, well, do you know what? I learned something from the first time round. I learned something from the second time round. Let's just really hit it hard.
Yeah.
And you get this mindset then, that drive, that you don't want to make any more mistakes. And you've learned from the time before and the time before that. And I just put everything that I knew into practice, got out there, did it, filled up my client books really quickly, and people keep on coming back.
Yeah. And do you think, was there, so you say kind of it's that you started it and then you had to kind of take a break for certain, for kind of, you know, personal work reasons, other things like that.
Yeah.
And then so there was this kind of stop-start and you learned a lot on the way, but can you kind of, was it that you could feel yourself operating in, not operating, but influenced by this fear of failure and the fear of success? Was there a shift at one point you could tell yourself, right, I'm no longer scared of failing, but oh God, now I'm scared of succeeding? Is it a clear distinction? I mean, I guess because our title is defining fear of failure versus fear of success.
Yeah, of course. So for me, fear of failing, now we've all got that.
Yeah.
It's prevalent in our society. Now, I already done that twice.
Yeah.
So I already knew what...
Was it kind of a relief to kind of go, I failed, but I've been able to go back, and that's okay? And,
yes.
And I say failed in inverted commas, but
yeah. There's a difference, very big difference between the word failed and failing, right? With failed, it means that's it.
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah.
You're not going to pick it up. You're not going to do it again. Failing, I love failing, because if you love failing as that word, you're actually learning every single time.
Yeah.
So, okay, that didn't work out quite well. My client didn't quite get that right. So you learn other techniques, you keep on doing, or you get a really complicated person that really needs a lot of hands-on attention. I love those people because they give me chance to learn, operate new skills, and then get in contact with them. So I find those challenging people very well. So failing for me is learning. It gives an opportunity for learning. I love failing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you've kind of, it sounds like you've got a good relationship with the, like, as you said, the very human and unavoidable fear of failure that we all have, but you've turned that into a positive.
Yeah, absolutely, because you learn.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know personally where my bit of success is. I don't know where my line of what success looks like.
Yeah.
But I also find that exciting.
Yeah.
At the same time, because I haven't defined it yet. So is it going to be financial? Is it going to be behavioral? Is it going to be what I want my life to look like? Is it going to be family orientated? Is it going to be wife or child? Or, you know, I've got a wife and a kid. Hi, guys. Just throw that in.
Throw that one in there.
My wife's currently 6 months pregnant at the moment. So, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And, we're due in March. So hopefully it will all be, you know, fear of failure and fear of success.
Yeah.
It'll all be fine.
Yeah.
So I don't want to define success because I don't know where that's going to be. So I'm going to be in a constant state of failing.
Yeah.
From now until when I say, do you know what? I'm happy here.
Yeah. Okay. So you said, and maybe we'll kind of touch on this a bit more, but this idea of not wanting to define what the success is, because if you define it, does that mean once you achieve it, you then stop?
Yeah, I think that's the bit.
You're done, and
I don't want to go into neutral.
Okay.
So for a lot of my clients, if I have £1 for every single time I meet up with somebody and say I want to be a size 10, or I want to get into my bikini or something like that, I don't want to get in my bikini. Nobody needs to see that. But if I have £1 for every single time, I'd be quite a wealthy man.
Yeah.
I'd be able to, you know, go to a nice restaurant.
Yeah.
So with that's a single point of success. That's a line drawn. And once you get there, what do? Well, you stop training. That's fine.
Yeah.
You know, do you stop eating? Then you'll go back up to whatever you want. As long as you know, I'm all about adopting life values, lifestyle changes to make sure that as soon as you get there, okay, you've achieved that goal, but find the next thing.
Yeah.
What's the next thing that you want in life?
Okay.
I work on multiple projects 3, maybe 4, maybe 5 at a time. And I dedicate my time to which one's working out the most successfully. And also I dedicate a portion of my time for the ones that are failing, because I want to make sure that they're progressing as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I don't want to be comfortable with the word success. I really want to be comfortable with the word failing.
Okay, right, we're going to take a break now, but we're going to explore that a bit more. And I think that's quite a nice idea, because that idea of succeeding, maybe at your goal, say, but putting this boundary, but then what happens on the other side of success or a goal, or when you complete it. So we'll come back in the second part and we'll discuss that a little bit more.
Brilliant.
Cool. Welcome back. Part 2 of the Big Idea Show today.
Should we go for another woohoo?
Yes, let's go for another woohoo.
Woo!
Part 2. Welcome back to part 2.
Thank you.
So Chris Doel is here in the studio with me, and we are talking about the fear of failure versus the fear of success.
Yes.
And you kind of took us to, I guess, your example and I always like to help kind of give the guests an opportunity to explore, and also for the listeners to hear where you're coming from, because I think it's far more relatable, isn't it? And
yes.
It's I guess, how often do we hear people saying, oh, you should do this, you should do that, and how often do we listen to it? Whereas if we hear their personal story, it's often a lot easier to go to then draw from it what we find relevant and interesting, rather than you do this, you do that. And yeah, hopefully, I hope that's what kind of the Big Idea Show and you guys out there listening will get from this, in that we're very much having this open discussion, and, we have a loose idea. We've got our topic, but it's very much about exploring, because we might come across that, oh my God, I've never considered that before. And hopefully that, for people out there, is an interesting, they can be a part of that as we discover it, as they discover it, we're discovering it as well.
Yeah.
So we finished in the first section, didn't we, about this idea of having a tangible goal, something very specific, and using fitness, obviously, as the example. People tend to have a very specific goal. I want to get in my bikini. I want to be a size 10, whatever it may be. But you kind of said, in terms of your goals, you kind of don't want to define it too much, because you don't want to lose that drive, or you want to be constantly improving and striving. And this kind of, I guess, takes us on to the question of, goals are great for getting you to the end of the goal. And I kind of see it like like you've got this container and you go from one side of it to the other. And then as soon as you complete your goal, you're suddenly then outside the container and you don't have any of those rules or support.
Yeah.
So, I guess what's your sort of exploring this fear of success a bit more, between making it tangible and like you've said, you're doing purposely not making it tangible.
I think in my personal example, not wanting to set a particular goal, you can always improve, you can always learn. I think it's a tough one. If you've got a tangible goal, like an amount of money you want to earn, the job that you want to have, when you get it, is that going to be enough drive for you to carry on with it?
Yeah.
Or now that you've achieved your objective through your goals that you've done, what's the next step?
Yeah, but is that maybe where people, and this is something that I kind of start to look at for myself. I'm very good if I have that goal, I have that container, and I'm very bad if I don't have the goal. And can be very unfocused. But is it that we become too dependent on those criteria, and maybe we also place too much emphasis on the result, on the goal? Like, okay, taking the fitness example again. Okay, I want to lose how much weight, I want to be this size, I want to fit into this dress or bikini. But do I just want to fit into that bikini, or do I want to fit into that bikini because fitting into that bikini is going to make me feel self-confident, self-value, self-worth, that I've been dedicated enough to stick to my goal? And do we lose sight of the reason we want the tangible bit? And seeing, I always like saying, the goal, the actual goal that most people, the smart element of the goal, I believe, is just a tool. And if we see it like, building a house is not about the hammer. The hammer is a great tool in building your house, and you couldn't do it without it. But do we get too obsessed and we're like, not building our house is falling down, we're like, oh my God, look at my amazing hammer. And you're like, no, that's not what it's about, though.
I think is two things. It's not just about your own personal goal, it's how you're going to be perceived by the outside people. Like, say for example, I see my wider family probably once every 3 or 4 months. So talking about cousins, some aunties, that kind of thing. Now, in that time, you've done enough to make either a physical impact or some kind of big goal. And when I was talking to my family at Christmas time, I hadn't seen them in about 4 months properly and had a proper chat. And we were all sat around the Christmas table and we say, so what have you achieved this year, Chris? And it's a subject that we do talk about over the Christmas table, both sides of the family as well. We do discuss like, what have you achieved this year? And I was like, well, actually, I went through my list of achievements and what I had planned for next year and what I was currently doing. And they were just like, wow, you've had a busy year. And I went, yeah, do you know what? I haven't actually really reconciled it in my mind.
Yeah.
Because I've just followed my nose as to what I wanted to do at that time. And it's led to some brilliant ideas and things. So, having that container box and having that start and end point is great, but also breaking free from that gives you a little bit left and right, forward and back as to where you can go with it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, at the beginning of the year, as you well know, I wouldn't have dreamed about going ahead and buying a gym and looking at franchise opportunities and looking at properties like this. It's not hard.
Yeah.
It's not hard. If you think, oh, it's too difficult to do it, actually, the numbers are just bigger, but they're equally important, and I look at it in a way of like, doing this deal is like helping out 970 or 1,000 people at a time rather than helping out my 21 or 22. And that actually gave me a good sense of fulfillment at that point, that I was doing the right thing, and I started carrying on with it. You know?
And I think you've hit on kind of, I guess, in the context of you say your goal is to buy a gym, but you said there to help essentially help more people, help 1,000 people rather than 10, 20, 30, whatever it may be. But I think you've hit it there, haven't you? Because it's about what is the impact that our goal is going to have. And we often get too fixed on
what your personal objectives are, your tangible personal objectives. I mean, if you get into that bikini, right, it's going to make for some good Facebook photos and Instagram shots and things like that. But, you're going to be an inspiration for other people that have said they want to do it, like in New Year's resolution style kind of things, and then say, okay, you managed to lose a couple of pounds, you look great, how did you do that? Then you're an inspiration, then you're a learning tool, then you can help other people. Sometimes people help other people without actually doing it subconsciously. So I've had many clients where they've lost a lot of weight, or they've done like a competition or something like that, and it's inspired one of their close friends to say, do you know what, if she can do it or he can do it, I can do it. Yeah, definitely. But where does the fear element come in this? Because I guess we've talked about the how to successfully fulfill goals, and this idea of not being fixed on the tangible stuff, like you being focused on them, but not being emotionally attached to them maybe. But where does the fear come in? Why do we fear actually achieving our goals, however big or small they are? That, I guess if we assume for the sake of this discussion that they are significant for the individual, whatever level of goal they are looking to set themselves, why do we get scared? Is it that we're scared of achieving them because then we don't know what to do next? But then surely the answer is just, we just set the next goal. But why don't we? Why don't we just set the next? Why are we still scared of succeeding? Yeah, I think equally we're scared of failing and scared of succeeding in equal proportions. Okay, I'll explain that now. The fear of failure for me and my clients will be, I actively tell my clients that if they've got a goal, don't tell anybody about it. Okay. And it's quite revolutionary because every single week I see, I'm going to commit to doing 10 hours of cardio and 15 hours of weight training and eat nothing but carrot juice and broccoli for the rest of my life. And I wince at that. Is there a little bit of looking good in that? Oh, look at me. Aren't I doing some great goals? And it's pre-boasting, isn't it? Yeah. I'm committing myself to doing this, but not actually doing. Yeah, that's an interesting one, because I would always say to people, share your goals, because in the speaking, it makes it's the first step to making it real, right? Because you speak it for yourself. But I get you as well, that I guess by speaking it, there is this, is it already done? And also they maybe it's the first step to becoming attached to the tangible bit of it rather than connected to the, I want to go down to a size whatever, but I'm doing this because I want to feel more self-confident. And maybe is it a case of don't tell people your tangible goals, but maybe tell them that this year I'm committed to having more confidence, to
increasing, I don't know whether anyone would say this, but increasing my self-worth. Like, maybe it's quite a big thing, but I think a lot of the time it comes down to that, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think, right. So if I give you this scenario now, if somebody came to me, they were 20 stone, and they said to me, right, Chris, I need a lot of help. I need to lose 10 dress sizes. I need to lose 8 dress sizes. I need to do this. I need to do that. The first thing is have you told anybody that you're seeing me? And if they say no, I said, good. Right. So imagine 3 months down the line, you've followed all the advice, all the nutrition, you've done all the workouts, you've eaten what I've told you to eat, and you've gone through all of these positive life affirmations, and you get to the point where you're in your wardrobe and you're trying to find something to wear and you can't because it's all baggy.
Yeah.
Imagine that first compliment from one of your family members that sees you rarely. Oh my God, have you lost a load of weight? And it's like, that's positive reinforcement. And you haven't given yourself then the stress to say, okay, do you see what I mean?
Yeah, that's interesting.
I think sometimes in some situations, yes.
Yeah.
Right. And then say, for example, you do meet that family member up after 2 months and you decide that you can let yourself go for a night and you end up down a pizza establishment somewhere and you meet them and they said, how's the diet going? You immediately feel guilt.
Yeah.
And you immediately feel, you're just eating what you want to eat at that point. It's your break night. You're entitled to it.
Yeah.
Right. But you then feel really guilty. So that puts your emotional pressure up higher, which might mean that you relapse and then you go back to the old way and then you start putting weight on.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
so
that's really interesting.
I think that if you are going to announce a goal, don't announce it to anybody that is going to sabotage your dream.
Okay.
Sometimes I think announcing your goal is great, but if you've got a secondary one, I would say, there's pros and cons both ways.
Yeah. And I guess, and we're going to take a break now. So, but just such, I guess within that, there's also the other side of it, which is, if people know, then they're able to support you. Mm-hmm. Maybe in, say, for example, another half that when they're going, they'll make a conscious effort of they won't go to the shops and buy loads of chocolate. So it's in the house. They may go, I won't buy it because I'm going to try and support them. Mm-hmm. But I guess that's the other side, isn't it? But we're going to take a break now.
Cool.
We'll come back and we'll chat some more.
Yeah, cool.
Fear of failure versus the fear of success is our topic today. Thank you for staying with us here on the Big Idea Show, part 3 with Chris Doel.
Hi.
Hello.
Again.
Woohoo.
We've got to have that third woohoo.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we've talked a bit, haven't we? We've talked about your experience and I guess the actions and the things that we see ourselves and other people doing. Mm-hmm. We've talked a bit about kind of the reason and the motives, kind of which leads us into motivation. Like, we motivate ourselves often on a tangible reason, but sometimes we can have all the reasons in the world to follow a diet plan. We know exactly what to do. At the end of the day, it's move more, eat less, but we still don't do it. So I think in this part, I'd like to, and this will kind of listeners out there, there may be some pauses as we consider it, what is the shift that needs to happen in our minds as opposed to on a theoretical, logistical, I need to do this. What do we need to shift in our heads? And can we actually shift it like now?
Of course we can. I'll go through my techniques now. Winning.
Okay.
You've got to win.
Okay.
So in the morning, I set myself a goal. Now, I set my alarm for 5:40 every morning.
Woo!
Yes, because I have my first client at 6:20 in the morning. I want to, make sure that I have my first cup of coffee before I meet them, that I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed for them. Now, one of my goals is that I don't want to snooze my alarm more than once.
Okay.
So I live 3 minutes away from my work. So if I was really, really lazy, I could leave my house at 1:15 and still know that I would get there completely on time before my client, who would turn up at 6:20. Now, I don't want to do that. So I used to snooze my alarm 2 or 3 times. But now I have made a commitment for the last couple of months, and I've been really good with it actually, is not getting myself annoyed with myself that snoozing my alarm, because I found out that snoozing my alarm was actually really annoying me.
Okay.
Because I'd wake up and I'd wake my wife up.
Yeah.
Potentially wake my son up.
Yeah.
And I was getting annoyed that they might get annoyed.
Okay, yeah.
It sounds really, it sounds really wrong.
Annoyed with yourself?
Yes, annoyed with myself that
For
I could wake them.
you at them, yeah.
Yeah. So I've got into this routine of just only allowing myself one snooze before I get up.
Yeah.
So that alarm goes off twice. So I've only got 2 opportunities to wake up my wife and son.
Okay.
Rather than 4 or 5.
Okay. So in that situation, if we kind of relate it back to how people can apply it today, is it, as opposed to be better at the alarm, it's specifically, because that's your example, it's
getting that first morning win.
Yeah, and being, but it sounds like bigger than that, because that's the first step, isn't it? But I assume you apply it in other areas that it's, I guess in that situation, you were being responsible for A, not upsetting other people, but B, being responsible for, I don't want to feel annoyed with myself.
Exactly.
And is it a case
making
of
an active
choosing?
Decision to take full responsibility of your own actions. Now, going on the subject of winning, as we were talking about there, I've got this phrase. I said, if you win the hour, winning the day is easy. If you win the day, winning the week is easy. If you win the week, the month is easy. If you win the month, the year is easy.
Yeah.
So recognize when you do something good. That's the biggest thing that people don't understand. So in the morning, okay, so breakfast you mentioned is your scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
Do you get a sense of satisfaction after you have that?
Yeah, and I think that's it, because
you've set yourself up right for the day.
Yeah, but it's the satisfaction of going, I have made a consciously good choice, and I can feel good about my first good choice. And I guess it's a very small version of when people say, well, if I go to the gym, then I don't want to waste all that by eating unhealthily.
I think people have a different view on that, but I think
they go, I got to reward myself.
Yeah.
But then is that it, right? Is it going?
It's changing those rewards around. I mean, we have where the gym is based, there's a lot of popular restaurants. I won't say the names, but as you can imagine, people will fall out of the gym and go into those establishments because they have knackered themselves out so much that they don't want to prep and they don't want to cook. Now, the key is not only winning, but preparation. Preparation to win. My dad had this phrase, and it's very popular, is perfect preparation prevents poor performance. He put a load more P's in there, which I won't go into. It's very true. So planning what you're going to have for the week. Now, I give plans to my clients. I don't expect them to follow them to 100%. I'm aiming for about 70 to 80%.
Okay. So you build in that sense of you don't have to be perfect. And is that, going back to, I guess, our topic, because we kind of wondered a bit, but it's great. Is the fear of success sometimes that if you're either to become successful or when you are successful, you have to be 100% on it, 100% organised, 100% responsible, and there's a lot of responsibility on that, both on ourselves and particularly if we're on ourselves if we're supporting other people or anything like that. So having that, knowing that you're not going to be perfect, and even when you achieve success, you're still not going to be perfect, and you don't have to be perfect to be successful.
Yeah. If I had the perfect client, it would pretty much be a robot. Be essential. I mean, preparation is key. I think if we ignore preparation, we ignore what we're doing. Yeah. And we've ignored the importance of why we set the goal in the first place. Yeah. Okay. It's an interesting one, and I think going back to I liked what you said about the beginning, and this is something I guess maybe a bit more personal about what I've been looking at doing in terms of my fitness goals, but using my personal fitness goal as a tool for me to learn around being my word and sticking to what I say, not because I've set myself, not because I want the outcome, but purely because I've said I would. And this goes back to your point about I set the alarm and I've decided I'm getting up at this time. And I guess does it come back to your idea of preparation? Because I prepared by saying I'm going to be committed to being my word. I'm taking ultra responsibility for my word and being it. It sounds really basic to kind of say out loud, but it actually really is basic. It's like
but so many of us don't do it.
Yeah, exactly. A brilliant phrase is that don't judge me by what I say, judge me by what I do. But should we judge ourselves by what we say? That when I say I'm going to do this, if we had more responsibility. Okay, so I feel that we have a relationship with, if someone says to me, right, I've committed, I'm going to do this for you. Yep. I'm going to fix your car for you for this amount. It's a traditional business. But there's a verbal agreement there, and they've said they're going to do it. If they then don't, I then don't trust their word. And next time they say, I'll do it for you, I'll be like, I'm not sure you will. I'm going to get someone else to do it.
But, and we then, that relationship has broken down. But if that little voice in our head that talks to ourselves, if we do that I think we do that in our heads. Like we go, oh, well, last time I said I was going to do this and I let myself down. So I'm going to let myself down. So I won't say that. And it's this awful internal cycle rather than going.
It's a case of trust as well.
Yeah. And building up. And if you have a friend that lets you down, you might go, okay, look, I'll give you another chance. But you start off with little things. Okay, I trusted you. You did that little task. Will you do this? And do we need to be creating that verbal trust in our word and for ourselves?
Yeah, I mean, I did a video about commitment and making sure that you do take extreme responsibility for your own actions.
Yeah.
And I think that's very, very clear. I don't want people to be annoyed when they don't follow their own voice in their head, good or bad. How many times have we gone out of an evening and said, I'll only have one, and then 4 o'clock in the morning we stroll in with whatever takeaway that we want. So we have to trust ourselves at least 80 to 90% of the time, and I think that's a nice percentage. It's okay to go crazy once in a while, but I think rewarding yourself when you've followed through on something you've said or something you've done is also very important. To say that all you got to do is, in your mind, when something gets done, say win in your head every single time that you've done something. And then you're going to get used to that nice fact of winning.
I guess it's that intrinsic, and maybe a lot of, I'm sure you kind of have the typical thing of a client going, oh, I need to tangibly reward myself with a cupcake or whatever, versus an intrinsic motivation of, well done, a kind of virtual pat on the back for yourself is probably the more valuable thing.
Exactly, but also it's good to wipe that off. So once you've given that wipe, that pat on the back is to say, right, next. Draw a line underneath it, move forward.
Okay, so being more present, really, isn't it? And not present both to our past and future self, and congratulatories versus beating ourselves up. And
so everybody's got that good feeling after they get out of the gym, so that lasts for about 3 or 4 hours because of hormones. So I mean, sometimes it's a little bit less, sometimes a bit more, but Arnold Schwarzenegger was one of the guys that was in the gym 3 times a day for 2 hours at a time, if you read his literature. Now, he loved the gym so much that he was addicted to that feeling good. Now, if we go home from the gym, we've done a good workout, that feeling is good. You reward your body with the right food. You then reward your body with the right sleep.
Reward it with the right food rather than rewarding it with the bad food.
So it's changing the rewards and changing your relationship with those rewards to make sure that you get a positive outcome for your overall objectives and goals, because objectives are only small steps to achieve your goals. So, I mean, this is how I'd run a day. I'd wake up in the morning, I would not snooze my alarm more than once, and then I would get up and I'd get to the gym nice and early, do my clients in the morning, start my paperwork, look what jobs that I need to do around the place. And then all of a sudden I've gone from 6 in the morning till 5 o'clock in the evening thinking, oh, right, I now need to go and do that. I need to reward myself with the things that are important to me, so I can do all of this, so I can afford to take my wife out to wherever or my son to wherever and spend some time with them. I feel that it's a necessary evil that I do work as hard as I can, but the reward is I can then go and do a lot of things with my family.
And also kind of, knowing you and the work that you do and everything is, I guess, for you also, and hopefully other people get that, it's the intrinsic reward of the work you do and just loving what you do.
I had it today. Just only an hour ago, I trained this lovely girl, and she's had it fairly tough, and I've only been training her a month, and I almost teared up, actually, genuinely, with real emotion. This is no lies here at all. She said to me, I know that I'm not an easy person to train. Thank you. But it was looking in her eyes when she said thank you. She meant it. And it kind of got me a little bit. And I was like, right, another set. Let's go. But yeah, those thank yous mean something. So when people say thank you, don't palm it off. See it as a win.
Yeah, because then it makes them feel good as well, doesn't it?
Yeah,
so,
I think even sorry as well. If somebody says sorry and means it, okay, they've done something wrong for me. That's okay too. See it as a win as well.
Yeah, absolutely. They've had the guts to say sorry and come and do it. Yeah, absolutely. Chris, well, it's my turn now to say thank you very much indeed. It's been awesome having you on. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Yes, I have enjoyed it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And if people want to know more about what you do, you mentioned there you do a lot of videos. You do kind of stuff to help people out on getting that balance between both the tangible, losing weight and eating healthy, but also the mindset stuff, all the stuff we're talking about today.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
How can people find out more info?
Sure. So I'm on Facebook, Chris Doel PT. If you want to find me in Folkestone, I am at True Gym Folkestone. I seem to live there at the moment, so come and say hi. You'll know it's me because I've got Chris Doel splashed all over all of my clothes. And if you want to go and have a look on my website, it's www.chrisdoelpt.co.uk, and Doel is spelled slightly different. It's Doel, just in case you want to have a look. No, not Odell, not Doel.
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 Doel. And everything's on there. So feel free to give me a call or an email, and we'll have a discussion. Have a coffee first. That's the easiest way.
Yeah, definitely. You like your coffee, don't you?
I do.
So Chris, Doel.
Yep.
Thank you very much indeed. Cheers.
Thank you, Leo.
Bye.
Bye.
So I just want to say a really big thank you to Chris Doel for coming on the show. It was a really great chat. We were chatting about fear of failure versus fear of success. And, you know, there was a number of points in there where, particularly when he was talking about not saying your goals out loud, that I really found, I'd not considered. That's completely kind of different from how I would do things. But we've just been having a chat off air, actually, and I thought it was something that was nice to reflect on here about this idea that it kind of maybe it comes down to your relationship with yourself and your sense of responsibility. So I personally, from spending many years of kind of practicing goals, as it were, and because I believe that goals are something you have to practice. You can't instantly set a massive goal and instantly achieve it. I've set myself little ones that have slowly got bigger and bigger. So I now have the relationship with myself and the goals I set myself, that when I say it, I do achieve it, which is why for me, speaking my goals really works, because I speak it into action and I then hold myself accountable. Whereas, as Chris very kind of interestingly brought up, which I think is a really interesting point, that if you maybe don't have such a strong relationship with your word and your goals, then saying it is a bit, when you're not sure if you can fulfill it or that if you will stick to it, is a bit like saying, I'm going to learn to swim, and then immediately jumping in the deep end and not having any armbands or any support or any lessons. So maybe it's that balance between the two. And I think it's a really interesting kind of comparison, really. So I hope you got something from it. I'd love to hear your comments, what you think, what you'd like to maybe hear more of. Let's create a discussion around this, because as came up, there's not one answer. There's no one size fits all, and hopefully this is what the Big Idea Show can bring to you. It's just a new perspective. It doesn't have to be right, it's just a new viewpoint to take into account. So thank you for listening out there. Thank you to Chris. Thank you to a couple of people. So the Academy FM Folkestone, for hosting us here in their lovely studio. Big thank you to them. And I want to say a big thank you. So we are very excited to have some new sponsors that allow us to bring you these videos, this audio. Without them, it really, really wouldn't be possible. So I'll go through them. We have BowlPhish Glass Services. These guys help people produce bespoke glass solutions. So if you're doing an interior design project or any kind of construction project and you want to do something really unique, and this is what the show about is. It's called the Big Idea Show. It's about turning those ideas to reality. So if you've got an instruction project, then these guys are really great. So it's really great to have them on board. We also have GoMunkee. So GoMunkee are a web app for parents and grandparents to kind of essentially signpost and inspire them for all the things going on local to their area so that they can do and see more. It's all about getting people, and especially kids, off Wi-Fi, get out there, get doing things, but also learning and growing and having new experience. So it's awesome to have those guys on board. GoMunkee, that web app. We also have QBH Solutions. They are HR and compliance support for small businesses, small and medium-sized businesses in the southeast of the UK. And I love how these guys are all about making things simple. HR can traditionally be maybe, and compliance particularly, a little bit of a dry topic. So it's really awesome that they are simplifying things. And that's what, I guess a lot of the things we do here, we take on big topics, but hopefully condense those things that may be in your head and make sure you can action them. And this is what these guys do if you're a small business and need some HR support. And finally, we have Meticulous Media. So they are B2B content suppliers, content providers. These guys massively share our vision in terms of helping small business owners or larger business owners to take their idea and express it to the world. That's what the Big Idea Show about, and that's what they do for businesses. All businesses start, I believe, and so do they, that have a big idea and something huge to share with the world, it's just sometimes hard to express that. And those guys really, really help people to do that and create meaningful content out there in the world. So thank you to all of them. Thank you to you guys if you're listening. We really couldn't do it without you. And most importantly, thank you guys to the listeners. Please comment, please like, share, follow us on any of the platforms. All the info will be kind of in the various descriptions. I hope you've enjoyed this show. Let us know any topics you want us to discuss, and we'll be back again next week. See you later.